All right, let's try it again. What up, faithful? Welcome to the Forever Faithful Nation podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm Controversial Corey. That's my other co-host right there, LG. What's up, brother?
Yo, what's going on, fellas? Hey, man, look, a lot of transpired since the last show, man. We're gonna get into everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That up there, that's my draft guru. That's Brian, aka Breaking News. How you feeling tonight?
Man, I'm feeling great. Listen, it's a beautiful time to be not just a Niner fan, but an NFL fan. It's like Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving all converging together. All the teams that were horrible last year, the slate has been wiped clean. Everybody believes they have a shot with the right draft, and the only thing left to do is in 10 days find out who got it right and maybe who got it wrong. We're gonna find out sooner rather than later.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we're gonna jump right into this draft talk. So the rumors flying around these Niners and old Kyle Shanahan, they uh they looking like they're gonna neglect the trenches in round one and they're gonna take a receiver. And LG, I know you've been hearing it. So how that make you feel? How you feeling about that?
Uh, I mean, I'm a trenches guy, bro. I mean, I hate to say it like that. I've always been a trenches guy. That's how you win the battle, right? We've seen teams before where they ain't had that much talent on the outside, but they could pound you in the mouth and they could stop you from running. And I'll put it like this: we don't know how much we got left with Trent. Um, Pony, I'm gonna say he took a little bit of a step back, but if the Niners can go, I'm gonna say guard, tackle, if possible, depending on how it shake out. That's where I would love to see us go, just because we know when we can run the ball, we can do anything. Um, but the tea leaves are saying we're going wide receiver. I don't know
Yes,
about you
sir.
guys, but they were saying Concepcion. I'm in Texas, so I've seen that dude play a lot. Hey, he's lightning in the bottle. Um, I'm kind of I would love to see Brock get more weapons. I put it like that. I love to see Brock get more weapons. But at the same time, I would want us to like I say, go trenches first. And there's not when we get to that bottom half of the receiver, I feel like there's no big difference between a guy that we can get where we're picking it as far as wide receiver versus getting one maybe in the second, third round. I don't see a big. I think we're splitting hairs at that point. Even though they're saying that the top receivers is the guy from Ohio State, USC, and
Kate,
yeah,
Lemon,
Clint, yeah, Lemon, and
and Tyson.
then Concepcion, and I'm like, uh, yeah, I'm hoping that we go trenches, but I wouldn't be mad if we went wide receiver. I would love it if we get the tight end out of Oregon. I wouldn't mind seeing that either. But
I'd run that card up
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna see what's gonna happen, man.
About you, Brian, how you feeling if they take receiver at one? How pissed off you
I
gonna be?
I will listen. It once again. It would be like 3 years. It feels like three of the last 4 years reincarnated. And listen, we were super stoked, after the fact when we had Ayuk for, that first contract. Debo, great addition. Ricky, the jury's still out on. My issue is we have enough right in the cupboard to compete at the wide receiver spot. Where we know that we're deficient right now over last year's team is offensive line. like quite literally, the person who started the year at off our left guard, Ben Barch, is gone. The person who finished the year at left guard, in Spencer Burford, is gone. So we have no incumbent. The guy that we picked up to kind of quote unquote be the incumbent is literally coming off of a neck fracture and didn't even play last year. So, with that said, I'm kind of like LG. For me, an ideal draft would be trade down from 27, pick up a second and a third. I think we need to get at least two D linemen, at least two O linemen. I think we need a left guard. I think we need a center that can compete with our center that we currently have to create competition. And if they decided to go wide receiver in round one, the issue for me is, here's the thing: we draft a wide receiver in round one, regardless of who it is. Insert the name that you like here. I don't like Casey Concepcion because the dude drops the ball a lot, a lot. He has, and the thing is I don't think he has bad hands. Watching the tape, their concentration drops, and when you get the yips, if you will, concentration drops, that's really hard to correct at the next level, right? You can teach better technique for catching. That kind of comes from, I'm 190 pounds and this 230-pound safety is about to crush me as I'm crossing the middle of the field. You start getting alligator arms. He starts to catch it against his chest. He doesn't pluck the ball cleanly out of the air. So there's no doubt that Casey Concepcion is going to get separation, right? That's what you've heard all offseason. Oh, Niners need separation. True. But the reason we got absolutely destroyed in the two games of the year versus Seattle is because we couldn't block their defensive front. It doesn't matter who you have playing wide receiver if we can't block for Brock Purdy. So my issue is, sorry, kind of long way to get around to Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, and Ricky Pearsall. Who's the wide receiver you're drafting that's taking one of the top three spots? Niners don't run a four wide receiver set. You guys know they run three wide receiver sets because they like their tight ends and they like their running backs. And sometimes they'll even run two running backs, being Juice and McCaffrey, or McCaffrey and insert here. So the Niners don't typically run a lot of four and five wide receiver sets. So you're going to spend a number one on a guy that's going to see, even if he's great, probably 30% of the snaps. Like, it just doesn't make sense, I don't think, for us. So I really hope the reports are false. I know that a lot of the 30 visits, they have been focusing on round one and round two wide receivers. They've done that in the past, though, and never drafted any of them. It's just kind of like doing the due diligence, if you will. I really hope they don't go in that round, but that would be my reactions, Corey. Is I would be really upset because all the moves we've made this offseason, Dre Greenlaw, Mike Evans, is all go for it now type moves. Getting a wide receiver in round one is not a go for it now type move. We need to solidify the offensive line and bring the heat on the
Look,
defensive line.
I thought you guys a curveball, and y'all don't think I'm joking, but I would really want us to go, O lineman first round, because think about it, Jennings is still unsigned. Jennings is still unsigned, and I get why people are saying wide receiver, because our wide receiver room was decimated last year. We were bringing in guys off the street, and I get it. Kyle may be like, "Hey, I don't want to be in that predicament again," but Jennings still out there. Debo's still out there. Two guys familiar with the system. They not getting those contract offers that they thought they were gonna get. You know what? We'll bring you back in on a prove it deal, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
I do
Debo's
you
coming
one
home.
better.
Debo's coming home. It's just gonna be after the draft. Debo will be back on this team.
Yeah, and I do you one better. If anyone who listened to the camp buzz and watched preseason this last year knows Jacob Cowing was really looking good until he got injured.
Until he
And
hurt.
Jordan Watkins, who was a fourth round rookie last year, has elite speed. Both of these guys have sub 4.4 speed. Remember, these guys were injured. That's the reason why we had to bring in additional guys. The problem is just with the wide receivers we currently have. You got Evans, you got Kirk, you got Pearsall. You got Cowing, who was a fourth round pick. You got Watkins, who's a fourth round pick. You grab more than one wide receiver, you're cutting wide receivers at cut down because the Niners don't keep more than historically five wide receivers because of the tight ends and the running backs.
I think I think I think the point we haven't touched on is they're out on Ricky.
Well,
Everything
if they
everything
trade him,
says they're
then
out on
yeah,
Ricky.
then that's a
I
different
got
deal. But I'm just saying, if you bring in a wide receiver, you gotta, especially a first round guy, you gotta have a spot for him because the reality is, most of these guys, when you bring them in, they are not going to beat out a Cowing or a Watkins day one because they're not going to know the playbook like these guys.
yeah.
It
I
takes time, especially in this system, to get up to speed.
I don't. I'm with y'all. I don't want them to touch receiver one because I want to see Watkins because you talking about Callan from camp. Everything from camp said Watkins was balling too.
Yep.
So it's like the kid you drafted them. Give the kids a chance. But if we know one thing about Kyle, Kyle always neglects the offensive line. He thinks his system is so great that he can put anybody on the offensive line, minus Trent, and be good. And he's never, we're 10 years in this season. He's never gotten out of that in his mind. And I don't think he's going to get out of it this year. I don't think there's no way. And he's he's got one more year after this year on his contract, and he has not been extended. And Lynch has this year, and he hasn't got an extension. So in a sense, these guys are they're fighting for their jobs. I know we all love Kyle and we think there's no way you let Kyle go. But when he got his last contract extension, he had a couple years left on that deal. And they gave him another 6 years. That's not the case right now. It seems like Jed's holding their feet to the fire because you have, since they've been here, you have watched the Rams win a Super Bowl, you have watched the Seahawks win a Super Bowl, and you've had a roster that should have been a dynasty. We should have had two, maybe three, and he hasn't gotten it done. And I think they're gonna draft that way. I think, like you said, everything's been a go for it now move, and they still, in my opinion, haven't cracked third place in the division talent wise. So they're gonna swing, and I don't want them to take receiver, but I got a feeling they're gonna take one, and I got a feeling they're gonna take one nobody's talking about because that's what they did with Ricky. Nobody thought Ricky was a first round pick. I think the kid they just brought in from Tennessee is who they're gonna take.
Brazel.
Yep. Not a first round guy. He's a second round guy. And I think Kyle will reach for him because when it comes to drafting skill players, let's be honest, Kyle sucks. When it comes to him picking skill players, he's every running back he's drafted, no longer here. Every receiver he's drafted, he's out on after a year. Like Ayuk, everybody talks about Ayuk. Ayuk was in the doghouse the first season. He only played because of injuries. So it's like Kyle's not going to touch the line. And I think that's a mistake. But the one lineman they took in this regime in the first round wasn't that good. And that's McGlinchey. Because Kyle doesn't look to take the best lineman. Kyle takes to look a player that's going to fit his scheme. Kyle doesn't seem like the type of guy that can change his scheme to fit what he has. He needs guys to fit what he wants to run. And usually those aren't the best offensive linemen in the draft. And at 27, I don't think he's touching offensive line. My bad. Go ahead.
Oh no, no, you're good, Corey. And I mean, I wanted to give you a chance to, land a plane, but I disagree with you, man. If you look at you know, Kyle, I would say early on, I would agree with you. But the last couple of years and last year in particular, with all the injuries, with all everything mounting, I thought he did a hell of a job coaching. You got backup quarterback, you got backup tight ends, you got uh fourth string, fifth string wide receivers, you got linebackers in the playoff games that are literally sitting on the couch week 12. Like they did a phenomenal job tailoring the scheme to the players. I've always said Kyle Shanahan is a hell of a coach. Top five head coach, top five offensive coordinator. The problem is you have to have a true, legitimate general manager, right? You need a Howie Roseman. You need you need the guy that's going to say that's going to say, Kyle, what kind of talent do you want? What are you looking for at X positions? And then they go out and draft it because ultimately, good, bad, or indifferent, John's going to take the fall, whether it's Kyle's choices or not, because they've done everything together. But ultimately, we haven't failed if you look at what our ranks are, our offensive ranks are, where the team has progressed every year. Where we have failed is look at how many first, second, and third round picks have not panned out in the last 10 years. Look how many guys that we've traded up for, which means they really like this guy. It wasn't somebody who fell to them. I was looking at an article just the other day of how many guys that we have traded up for in the last 10 years. And I want to say it was like 12 or 13 guys. The only two guys that you would consider quote unquote a hit that we traded up for was Dre Greenlaw and Pooney. That's it. Everybody else, including several first rounders like Reuben Foster, like we've traded, Javon Kinlaw. These are guys that we've traded up for and they just didn't work out. And if you're trading up, you have to have such conviction that you're like, hey, you know what? This is our guy. And to miss, 75 or 80% of the time when you're trading up, like that's just not going to get it done.
but
So I
but you're
feel like
but you're
the issue
kind of
is it's not a it's but what I'm saying is Kyle needs to coach because that's what you're paying him to do is to coach. And what I'm saying is it's kind of a shame on ownership type of thing. And I think Jed has started to pull a little of the control back. I think you saw that a little last year. Like, hey, this isn't just an open checkbook. This isn't the Kyle and Kyle and Lynch party here. Like we got some restraints here. And so I think you're seeing that. I think you're feeling a little bit of the pressure. But I feel like the issue, what has let the Niners down, is drafting, right? Talent
but
acquisition, huge contracts, Javon Hargrave, like horrible, like massive contracts, talent evaluation, bringing in these guys. And like I said, I'm not saying you're wrong, Corey. Maybe it is Kyle's ultimate, decision to bring these guys in. But in the eye of the beholder, that's the GM's job. And so he's going to be the scapegoat on that. Kyle can still coach, and that's why he'll still be here.
yeah, Kyle can still coach, and I want to make that clear. I think Kyle's the top three coach in the NFL, top two play callers, him and McVay, and then there's everybody else.
Absolutely.
My thing is, you kind of made my point when it comes to drafting and stuff. Yes, Lynch is going to take the fall, but anybody that has followed this team knows Shanahan hired John Lynch. He got the
Absolutely.
job first. So everything that comes to this roster is he's got final say. Ayuk was going to get traded. Shanahan stopped it.
Yep.
Trent was about to sign in Kansas City. He didn't call John Lynch. He called Kyle and said, Kyle, I got this deal. You got to make something happen or I'm gone. Kyle made it happen. The roster is up to Kyle. Yeah, Lynch is going to take the blame, but we all know it's Kyle. And that's why I say when it comes to the draft, and you laid it out, 75% of the players they draft early don't pan out. Or the guys they trade up for. They traded up for Reuben Foster, bust. Solomon Thomas is the only player they've taken in the first round that I will blame John Lynch for. And that's because we all know he's a Stanford guy and he probably fought to get him. Other than that, I blame Shanahan for everything that goes wrong with this roster. Just like when it goes right, I've never given John Lynch credit. Everything that goes right, I say Kyle. So everything that goes wrong, I'm gonna say Kyle. Yeah. That's just how I'm wired because I feel like he has final say.
You know what? I'll say this. I think that it's a little bit of both. Because let's say, like you said, Howie Roseman, right? But Lynch, he needs to at some point insert himself and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm the GM."
He's a GM of the year, dude. Like you're saying, LG.
Yeah, but you know what he does, right? And y'all think I'm joking. Like some of these guys, they were breaches, but you know why he drafted Kinlaw, right? Because he didn't want to pay DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, no, I know.
At that point,
no, actually, the worst part, LG, was it wasn't that he didn't want to pay Buckner. It was that he thought it would be a better deal to keep Armstead for a few less dollars.
Yes. Yep. And I'm like, and I hate to say it like that, but I would have much rather seen this team with with Buckner and what's called then Solomon Thomas and Kinlaw. That was
Oh, 100%.
and the only reason why I feel like they were drafted is because we didn't. He thinks about the guys that he has to pay and where we're gonna pay them and where we're gonna draft. That's how I feel like Pearsall got on the team. He knew
Hmm.
he was gonna have to pay Debo. He already gave him that one extension. He knew he's gonna have to pay him again. It's like, what do I do? I draft his replacement so
Well,
I
who's
can
the
move on from him.
what's the
And some
contract guy's name? The guy that do the contracts for us. I can't remember his name off the top of my
Uh,
head.
uh,
Parag Mathay.
yeah,
Parag. That's
Yeah.
who. That's who's to blame for this. Yeah, Lynch
and
thinks about the replacements because Parag is like, I'm not doing the deal.
yeah, and see, sometimes you have to think to yourself, is it more valuable to your team to pay the player because they are a Pro Bowler, they still in their prime, or draft their replacement? You have to evaluate that sometime. And I would have much rather seen this team with some of the talent that we've offloaded to, kind of quote get their replacements. Um, McGlinchey, the first year McGlinchey was gone, was McGlinchey, all world? No, but the first year he was gone, you could see that hole. It was
Yep.
a hole there. So,
Yeah.
and I get it. Was he worth I think the Broncos gave him like 175 million. Was it
No,
worth
he
it?
got like I want to
Or
say he got like
something?
75 million, 5 years,
It was
75
something like
million
that.
or
It was
something.
something,
Yeah,
something.
it was
But
ridiculous though.
yeah, but would it have killed us to tag him and keep him another year? Maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't have killed us. But you could see it was a glaring hole on that side, and that side is still a glaring hole since McGlinchey's been gone. Um, like I said,
Everywhere on the line is a glaring hole if Trent's not there.
yeah, but I'm just saying you see what Lynch does. It's like, okay, I some of the talent that he's moved on for, assuming that their replacement will be just as good, the replacement has not been just as good.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you, boys, and this is, I'm not going to say it's factual, but this is what I believe to be factual. When you're in the draft and you're specifically in the draft room and you're doing making decisions in the first couple rounds, your top 100 players are typically picks that your coach or your GM are making, right? These are franchise type players. You want the right character, you want the right guys, and this and that. And we have, like we've talked about many times, we have missed horribly in picks in rounds 1 through 3. Then you start looking at the later round. That's when you typically start relying on your personnel departments, your area scouts, things like that. If you look at what the Niners have done in round 4 and later, look, I'm just gonna real quickly. This is just round 5, 6, and 7, right? This is the late end of the draft, day 3. This is just since John Lynch has come. George Kittle, Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Funga, Diamador Lenore, DJ Jones, Elijah Mitchell, Brock Purdy, Jawan Jennings. These are all guys that were drafted in the 5th round or later. Where would this team be if not for the 5th, 6th, and 7th round? The problem with the Niners, the problem is inverted. It's such an oddity. If you look at hits, typically the first round has quote unquote about a 50% bust rate. The Niners are like near the bottom of the league at draft success rate in the first, second, and third round. But for some unequivocal reason, we're really, really good at the end of the draft. And the only thing I can come up with is when you take the talking heads out of it, right? And maybe more the personnel and the area scouts, and it's like, hey, we're picking number. You really think John Lynch and Shanahan were like, yeah, we got to pull the trigger on this Brock Purdy guy? Like, come on. Like, this is area scouts. This is guys that have been out there and seen him. Maybe it was Brian Greasy, but the point is, this is where other people start to have a say. And you know what? Maybe they need to start listening to these people a little bit more, the people they have around them. That's what I've taken from this. And I wanted nothing more than to see the Niners hire some type of consultant like a Phil Savage, right? That used to run the Senior Bowl, like, one of these guys, even Bill Belichick, like hire a consultant to come in and help assist with the draft. Just help assist with another opinion. You want to know why? So it doesn't end up like Corey said, like Kyle says, or John says, I like player A, and And Kyle says, "No, I like player B," and they're like, "Okay, well, we're going with player B." Maybe the other guy goes, "No, actually, I really do like player A. We're going with him." You know what I mean? There is such an imbalance of power here. We have got to hit on rounds 1, 2, and 3 this year. And when you look at our picks from last year, like they're okay, but like let's keep it a buck. Like, the jury's still out on Williams. You're talking about a top 15 pick. Like, I understand he can set the edge. You can find an edge setter in round 5,
Yep.
right? Like they have a lot to prove with what they took last year. I mean, right now, if we're really being honest with ourselves, the best pick they made last year was a 5'8" corner out of Western Kentucky in the middle rounds.
Well, you
I
know
mean,
what?
come on.
I like Collins. Collins is starting to come on too. I do like
I
Collins.
I understand, but I'm just saying that's where we're at, LG. It's like, and also Collins later round pick, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
but I
so it's
Second,
mean,
wasn't
like,
he? He was second,
oh,
wasn't he?
I
Alfred
figured.
Collins, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
yeah. I
absolutely.
was thinking of West. I got him inverted, but no, yeah, it's like, but the thing is it took Alfred Collins like half the season before he even got to the point where they were comfortable enough to let him play consistently, and he was a second round guy. So it's like what I'd like to see. I'm hoping this year, and I know I've taken a ton of time, but like, man, I'm really hoping this draft, like, we see guys that were like, oh, hey, that looks a little different. Like, I mean, Lynch literally said, hey, our emphasis, we got to improve this pass rush. We got to improve the defensive line. Like, you know what? If you want to see a shock that shocks people, rather than going offensive line, hell, I wouldn't even care if I saw another defensive tackle. Just don't get a or a corner. Just don't go wide receiver round 1, please.
Yeah, I would love to see. I would love to see. We take that kind of like. Can't believe I'm mentioning these guys on this show.
Hold on, because I'm getting ready to get you with the next topic, and it's gonna lead into right what you about to say. So
Man, look,
look, this is where I
go
want
ahead,
to go.
go ahead, Corey. I
And
wasn't gonna
this,
mention
I
these
want
guys.
you, I want you to think as a fan. I don't want you to think about what anybody else wants or what the team really gonna do. As a fan, what would be a successful draft to you?
Draft. Look, I hate mentioning these guys, but you know who's been drafting for need and feeling need? Cowboys, Eagles. Hey, need a guard? We draft a guard. Need an O lineman? We take the best available O lineman. Need a defensive lineman? We take the best available defensive lineman. That's what the Eagles have been doing. The Cowboys have been doing. I would love to see us take that approach to the draft. Not like, oh, we got to get this, sexy pick, or we got to get this, hot shot, wide receiver because we need more. Look, take the best available player that fills an area of need, and not we gotta put more points on the board because you know how you beat somebody when you don't score a lot of points. Stop them from scoring
Stop.
points. You
Yep.
stop them from scoring points. And like I said, I know Aaron gonna kill me because we not like the Steelers. The Steelers keep drafting for every position, but the quarterback. We got our quarterback. Let's
That's going to
go.
change this
Let's
year.
we got our quarterback. Let's go fill some areas. Let's not overreach. Let's take value. Let's take the best available player, get the value, and go from there. I don't want to see us, like I say, trading up for guys, reaching for guys. Let's fill the holes. Let's fill the holes because we got two teams in our division that is boat loaded with talent. And when I say boat loaded with talent, they are full of I'm gonna say uh depth, and we gotta match the roster for roster within our own division, and then we'll see how it shakes out in the NFC.
Go ahead, Brian. What's success?
Yeah.
What's the successful draft to you this year?
I mean, I think LG hit like literally hit the nail on the head. A successful draft is rather than drafting for need, we draft the best available player. What we need is difference makers. What the Niners don't need is to try and fill depth pieces, right? Like we need guys that are going to come in and actually impact the game. And the one thing that I do like about what they've done this offseason that they haven't done the last few years, if you know, quietly under the radar, they've filled a lot of these needs, right? Even this last week, they bring in another defensive end sample from the
Yep.
Bengals. They bring in Jones, the kid from former USC, played 17 games last year for Miami. former four-star recruit. I mean, Jack Jones is a really, really good corner, that's hyper aggressive, maybe a little too hyper aggressive at times. But the point being is when you have depth, you don't feel the need or urgency to have to like overdraft a guy, right? You're sitting there at 27 and maybe this guy's 48 on your board, but you're like, man, this is the last guy that we would feel comfortable starting. No, you know what? We have a guy that can start. Worst case scenario, let's find the best guy that's available on our board. So that's what I would say, Corey, is stay true to the board and whatever it falls. If wide receiver really truly is that guy for you, if Omar Cooper is there, or insert name that you like there, and you're like, no, this guy's really the highest guy on the board, then have at it. All I'm gonna say is as a Niner fan, I don't want to see you draft a guy, especially in the first round, that's going to be a part-time player or going to be a guy that's not going to be a difference maker. I want to see guys that are on the field creating havoc and creating a difference, because that's what we've seen from the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks the last 2 or 3 years. You look at all the guys that they've drafted, right? Byron Young, Fisk, Verse, like all these guys are difference makers on the offensive and defensive lines in the backfield. And that's what the Niners need. The Niners need to start hitting, especially on their higher round picks.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you go into the draft looking like, okay, we need a lineman. We have to take the best lineman available. No, no, no. Trust your, especially in round one and round two, trust your board. If your board says your number one player at 27 is left is a wide receiver, take him. If it says he's a
Hmm.
guard, take him. Says he's a linebacker, take him. Take the best player on the board because we need players. We need starters. We need rotational players. We need guys that are going to contribute now. We don't have time. We don't have time to wait for next year and the year after. The time is now because you got Kittle's older. You got McCaffrey is on his last legs. He looked like he slowed down a little bit last year, even though he had a hell of a year. Trent, he's 38. This is the end. Like Kyle's on his last year. Next year he'll be a lame duck coach if he don't get an extension.
I
John
do.
Lynch on his last year. Yeah, so it's time. It's time. Get the best player available on the board, regardless of position. And that would be a successful draft to me. Go
The
ahead, LG.
only thing that I would put out there is that if there was a I'm gonna say a really good proven player that comes available, because we all know it ain't over with for trades. We all know
Yeah.
that. We know when it comes to the draft, they're gonna make some guys available. If there was a guy that came available, we need to move a little bit of quote unquote draft stock to acquire him. I wouldn't mind seeing that just because you gotta think about it. We let a lot of guys go last year. We drafted a lot of rookies. We got a lot of draft picks this year. I wouldn't want to see now we have a team with too much of an infusion because you know what happens when you infuse too much youth into your team, you're gonna have mistakes.
Yeah, like you get to
Um,
27, you
yeah.
get to 27 and the Raiders call you and say, "Look, we like player X. We'll give you Max Crosby for 27 and
Oh
maybe
yeah, yeah. We make that
do it."
move. Yeah, we
Like you
do
said,
it.
if a proven player comes
Right.
along, there's nothing at 27 that you because the draft's not a sure thing.
Well,
So somebody
Max,
prove
we might give Max for a second and a fifth now because hey,
If you could get,
yeah,
listen, if you could get Max, right? If we had some kind of assurance that the knee was going to be okay, and even if he's not ready for game one, let's just say game 4 or 5, right? If somebody said gave us the assurance that Max will be Max, that's what the doctors are for. We don't know that, but they're going to
yeah,
look at it. I would trade the first straight up for Max Crosby, because 3 or 4 years
yeah,
of Max Crosby goes perfectly with the Niners timeline when you look
yep.
at Kittle and McCaffrey and Trent and what we have currently. And the thing is whether it's Garrett, which we talked about last episode, or Crosby, you put an established dominant pass rusher on the other side of the line from Nick Bosa. You got to also consider, because like everybody, like it's funny because all of a sudden in NFL circles everybody's down like Nick Bosa can't rush the passer. No, it's because he gets double teamed every rep because the Niners have nobody else. The rep that he hurt his leg on, go back and watch it, he was being double teamed. So It would be you get a legitimate pass rusher across from him, he's going to put up 18 to 20 sacks. And if that guy puts up 15, and the other thing that nobody talks about, right? Think about the young guys, like you guys mentioned, Siegel. He had, I'm going to say, anywhere from 6 to 8 mental breakdowns where it was like, oh, you know what? He let him get behind, or oh, you know what? Jair Brown let the guy get behind. Well, you know what? Even if it's only a half a second or 1 second quicker, a lot of those mistakes to get cleaned up when you don't have to cover for 5 seconds. You only have to cover for 3 seconds, right? That
Yeah,
all of
or
a sudden
speeding
your
up to the
defensive
quarterback.
backs, yeah, all of
Speeding
a
up to the
sudden your
quarterback.
defensive backs look a whole lot better. And like I said, I'm gonna keep going back to this dude because this is my new dude. OC Adigazua, being able to get that push directly up the middle is literally the game changer, right? Because you can have the guys running the arc and he can step up, no problem. That's what quarterbacks do. But when you have a guy that can push the center of the pocket and you have at least one guy, possibly two coming off the edge, that's when it gets dangerous.
Yeah, and that's the only way I would say okay. Well, let's make some trades. Hell, I even throw a curveball out there. We was sitting, second round. We was gonna take a receiver. They keep saying AJ is gonna be moved. And they said, you know what, you can get AJ for the second. Then I'll be like, okay, I'm okay with that. Even though
I'll
I
run
don't
that
think
pick to
Philly moves
Philly.
him. Yeah, I don't think Philly moves him, but I'm just saying if there was something like that came about, then I would be okay with us making trades because I don't, like I said, I don't want to see us get too youthful without having enough veteran presence on the team. And if, like you say, if you could bring in, quote unquote, somebody with playoff experience like a AJ, or you bring in somebody who's just a game changer like a Max, or something like that, then I will be okay with that. Other than that, stick to the board. Draft, like I say, draft. Let's not quit doing this reaching and all this other stuff, and let's just draft what we need. Draft what we need, and the best available player
Yeah.
that feels that need.
All right, so I think I know. I think I know where Brown's gonna go. But all right, so we watching the draft next week, and the draft's over. What would be disappointing to you if it happens? Like what would make you just Sunday morning just pissed off about what they've done?
So I'm gonna give you two things that would piss me off and would literally put me on edge regardless of who's selected. The first thing and the biggest one is if we trade up. We're not in a position to trade up. We're not in a position to waste draft capital. We have a first, a second, and four fours. We have six total picks, and we probably have conservatively anywhere from 7 and 9 needs when you
Yeah.
consider all the different positions, all the things. So we're not in a position to trade up. I don't care who it is. We should not be trading up. And I already mentioned what it looks like when we trade up. The second thing is if we leave this draft, there's 6 picks. If we leave this draft and we have not drafted an interior offensive lineman, yeah, I'm gonna be hot. Those are the two things. If you trade up or you do not, you just neglect an offensive lineman. You're like, oh, we got an undrafted free agent guy that's going to compete. No, we need somebody that's really going to compete because right now, like I said, the offensive line is definitely worse than it was last year. There's not upgraded, and it wasn't good last year, right? So those are the two things for me, Corey.
About you, LG? What'll have you mad as hell in the group chat on Sunday if they pull it if they do it?
Um, what would mad me mad as hell? First and foremost, if we take more guys that got injury concerns, it we don't need. Let me rephrase that. We take guys early that got injury concerns. 6, 7 rounders. Yeah, I'm not really gonna be mad. But if we taking guys in the second, third round who already got previous injury history, then I'm gonna be kind of mad. I mean, because I know right now everybody's all hyped up about the guy from Tennessee. He ran what a 4.3 or something, the wide receiver. Yeah,
Yep.
he ran like a
Brazel.
yeah, he ran like a 4.3 or something coming off of a ACL. And I'm like, if we take a guy that already has a history of injury, I'm gonna be a little pissed. Um, and then I'm gonna be even more pissed, and y'all gonna be like, this is a curveball. If we don't take a prove a guy who can be a proven number two back, take some carries away from McCaffrey, I'm gonna be kind of pissed. I'm gonna be kind of pissed because we've all seen he's more effective when you limit his carries. He's more effective when you put him out in more routes. We know, at some point Father Time's gonna catch up with him because you know how running backs are over 30. At some point it's gonna catch up with him. And just get, like I said, get him out in more space. I'm gonna be even more mad if we don't come out with one of them. And you know what? I'm gonna be a little pissed and I'm gonna be a little perturbed too because I think it's time we start looking for a use check replacement. I think I'm gonna be a little pissed. And that's probably a guy that they probably said we
We
could
could
get
have
somebody
him.
free agent. Huh?
I think they have one there
I
already.
think we already have one,
Uh,
man.
I mean, yeah, no. I mean, but you know how it is when you really haven't been a fullback and not
Yeah,
I'm not fullback because Kyle doesn't really use a fullback. He's more of
H
an
back.
H back. Yeah, H back.
Right.
Yeah, if you haven't really been an H back, I'm gonna be a little bit perturbed. But I would definitely want to see like one of those late picks. Let's get a replacement for you, check.
I think Tonjes is going to be the H back
H back.
replacement when it's all said and done. And actually, you know what? Just so that we're sure one of us is upset, I'm gonna go the polar opposite of LG real quick, Corey, and say if we draft a running back, I'm going to be perturbed. You got Garindo, you got Jordan James. You don't want to use those guys. So all you do, if you bring in another dude, we just wasted two more picks that we didn't need to waste. Let the
But
young guys play.
I
Garindo
would
looked
love to see
good 2 years
Garindo play.
ago.
I would
Listen,
love
he
to see
looked good two
Garindo
years
play.
ago. Let the dude play.
I'm a Garindo fan, and I'm gonna be like this. I would love to see
Jordan
Garindo
James looks
play.
good too, man.
Yeah, I definitely would. But you got to remember they both like on that smaller side. So I would definitely want to see somebody who I'm not gonna say quote unquote take some carries away from CMC, but take more the inside run. Take away some of his running between the tackles.
Well, I think Garindo runs a little upright, but Garindo is 225 pounds. Like, like you can go
He
look at
just
his
looks small.
bio.
He just
Yeah,
looks
yeah, no,
small.
he's 225 pounds, and Jordan James is 210. Neither one of them are small for running back comparisons. I think the issue with Isaac Garindo, obviously we know the fumbling thing. Like Kyle ain't you're not a back in Kyle's system if you can't do two things. If you can't pass protect and you drop the rock. Plain and simple, if you can't do those two things, you can't play in his system. So I'm hoping that they'll give those guys a little bit of run, but sorry, I didn't mean to hog all this. Corey,
Oh, you
what are you gonna
fine.
be upset about? What are you gonna be
When
upset
it,
about when it happens on drive day?
well, before I get into that, I think James gets more run this year if Pass Pro looks better in training camp because that was his one weakness last year in
Yeah,
camp.
and the
They said he
injury.
could,
Yeah,
yeah, for that, but they said he couldn't block in Pass Pro. He was getting whooped.
yeah, he was
If
getting whooped.
the, if Kyle and John draft another kicker or punter, I'm gonna lose my damn mind.
Oh my God! Hey,
See, I'm
listen, if
shocked neither
we
one of y'all touched
ever,
that.
right, ever, I don't care if it's the sixth round. I'm like, nope.
I mean, we
Listen,
brought in the punter and they re-signed Pinero. So hopefully
Yeah.
hey, did you? And
Hopefully
that's
don't
what.
touch it.
So I'm sure you guys were feeling the same thing as me. You guys saw the report that they went out to the pro day to watch that kicker, right?
Yes,
Like
I
you guys
saw
heard
that, and
about that,
that's
right? I was like, you got to be out of your goddamn mind. I'm just like, I was like, you
there's
gonna get
no yeah.
PTSD. Like I don't even want to see that. Like just don't even look at that. Better have been like you, like he was there on the field, but really you were looking at the D tackle. Like I mean, come on.
Yeah.
he better be one of them guys that you bring in for a camp body. Hey, one of them guys that you like,
Nah,
we know he's not
listen,
gonna get drafted, but
Kicker should be undrafted.
undrafted.
Free
That's what I'm saying.
agent.
If they use a seventh, we're gonna have a problem. Like we're gonna have
Yeah.
a problem.
I think that and if they neglect the offensive line,
Yeah, I'm with you, man. You
they
got to give
gotta
me at
do
least
something.
one dude. There are
Yeah.
so many good guys. Jalen Farmer, Logan Jones. Like, there are so many guys that are going to be available right there in that, like, beginning of the fourth to the fifth round that are, like, really, really good guards. Like, really good. And if they don't grab one of them when they have four picks in the fourth round, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose my mind.
And I can't have them do what they did to me last year when they took Ricky. If you take a receiver in at 27, please make it a game breaker. Please make it somebody that we actually think is a first round pick. That's not 24 coming into the league. Give me a blazer. We need speed. If you're gonna take a receiver, at least make it a game breaker. Like Concepcion, I have no issue with it. I know he got the dropsies, but don't 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 give me a second. Don't give me the kid from Tennessee who nobody thinks won the first round. Like I said, if you go away from the board, and I know every team has their own board, but sometimes you see a pick and you're just like, there's no way that guy was that high on their board. I just can't have you take. I can't have you take a jag in the first round. So I need you to address the offensive line, and I need you to take the best player available in round one. If you don't take the best player available in round one, I'm gonna be a little irritated.
Y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but dude, I would actually, like I say, outside of making a trade for, like, say one of these proven players, I would love if we went tackle, guard, tackle, guard.
I wouldn't
Uh,
hate that.
yeah, I would love, because think about it, we went so heavy on defense last year, right?
Hmm.
With it in the draft, but I would love for us to get back to like that mauling. Hey, we're gonna just line up and bludgeon you, and you stop us, because you know what Kyle's good at. He's gonna bludgeon you, bludgeon you, bludgeon you, and when you think he's about to bludgeon you again, here comes the trick play over the top, over your head. And you could tell the last 2 years we was not at that bludgeon you, able to line up, get consistently 3, 4, 5 yards consistently over and over and over again. I would love
Yeah,
to just say F it, and we going super heavy on it on the O line.
I would love that
yeah.
because the best team in football punked us in the playoffs.
You you gotta have guys like we were talking about this in the draft. I almost brought this up, but you gotta have guys that have a mean streak, right? Like like everybody says about Trent Williams, right? Like, like, hey, like this is the dude like you don't want to meet in the dark alley. I'm sure you guys have heard, like, everybody's been talking about it recently because Delaney Walker and Patrick Willis have been on a podcast, but
Yep.
like how crazy Justin Smith was when
Yeah.
he was with the Niners. Like he literally was like, who's the biggest dude on the team? Joe Staley, and literally headbutted him and broke his nose.
Didn't
Like,
he
hey,
burn his
when you're
furniture too?
yeah, burn his furniture too, because he's like, hey, like I'm the real Debo. Like, like I'm a punk you and take your stuff. And like that was kind of like yes, to a certain extent, like you gotta have guys that are, good guys and Boy Scouts, but it's football. It's a rough and tumble sport. You gotta have guys that will get after it and have a little bit of mean streak. And if you're gonna have those mean streak guys, best to have them on the offensive and defensive line. And there is some real road graders in this draft that are going to be awesome in the zone scheme because they're very athletic. And it's like the two spots we got to upgrade is center and left guard. Like we are getting no put like we talked about this before, but you look how many times we were third and less than three or fourth and one and didn't run the ball. Like that's insanity to me. It could be fourth and two, and like you knew that, Philadelphia, they're going to do the tush push. Everybody knew it was coming. They don't have any wide receivers out flanked. They're just like, no, we're just going to run over you. Like sometimes you have to just be the bigger, more physically imposing team. And for a long time, the Niners were. They've gotten away from that and they've had to finesse too much. Time to get back to the roots and get play bully ball and beat some people up.
I mean, look at the last two Super Bowl champs. I mean,
Yep.
Seattle put a lot of draft capital into that O line.
Yep.
They brought in a couple of guys too, but they could run. People were looking at Jackson and Smith, and they brought in Shaheed. They were looking at, they could throw the ball, and Sam Darnold was looking really good. But you know what? They ran the ball a lot, and they
Their
consistently
first
ran the
round
run the
pick,
ball.
their
Yeah,
first round pick last year was a guard. I mean,
yeah,
they like you said, they both of their tackles were, were top 60 picks.
yeah.
Their left guard was a top 50 pick or top 20 pick, excuse me. They have, like you said, they've invested heavily in that offensive line. And that's what allows you to have a guy like Sam Darnold back there at quarterback and win the Super Bowl. No disrespect to him. I love Sam. But the reality is you put him behind a porous line, or you put him behind you put him with a guy who doesn't run the ball effectively, or a defense that gives up a lot of points and he has to throw a ton. It's a different feel and a different outcome. So, kudos to them, man. They've built something really special there. And kudos to the Rams, for going for it. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, look how much they gave up for Trent McDuffie." Hey, you know what? You got Matt Stafford for maybe 1 or 2 more years. Like, kudos. Like, go for it. Like, that's how you go for it. Everybody thought it was crazy when they traded for Matt Stafford, traded all that capital. You know what? They won a Super Bowl. It's worth it. Nobody
Yeah,
questions it.
that's all
You
you
Yep.
gotta
want.
go
That's all
for it.
you want. That's all you want.
Chips, all in.
All in. And like I said,
And
you
I
got to have
wish
those
that's what
raw
we
grits.
would do. I wish that's what we would do. Push the chips to the
Well,
middle of the table.
I think we needed to shred some of those fat contracts. That was the main thing before we went into it. And then now we've gotten a little bit off the books. Got one more left to get off off the books. But just shredding some of those fat contracts. But like I said, I would love to go really heavy, invest in that offensive line, and just get back to that mauling. The best way you can stop other teams is keep their defense on the field. Keep the defense on the field. Uh, that would actually be better for our defense, especially Bosa. Imagine if Bosa was only playing, half of the plays he's playing now. He's coming out, he's way more fresher.
Yeah.
That means he can pin his ears back. Like I said, I would love to see if we could go back to that run the ball. We don't care what you're gonna
Yeah.
do. We're gonna still run it down your throat and consistently get those 4 and 5 yards.
Or even if it
Well,
was the same number of plays, if they're primarily passing because they're playing from behind, right?
yeah,
Because the wear and tear on the body is traditionally and typically on the running plays, right?
yeah,
So it's like if I'm playing 50 defensive snaps, but 35 of them are passing plays, right? As opposed to 50 and like 20 of them, 25 are run and 25 are pass, totally different feel on the body.
yeah.
We need to get back to the ball that we played 3, 4 years ago, where we're playing with a lead, when we're playing from ahead, and we're not choking in the fourth. But like I said, I have a lot of reason for optimism. I thought Brock really, really kind of turned the corner last year. I really did. And one thing nobody talked about at all, even with a porous line, who had the second lowest sack rate in the entire NFL last year? Brock Purdy. Even behind our offensive line, he had the second lowest sack percentage rate in the entire league. Not hurried, because he got hurried,
Yeah.
but converting to a sack. Like, the boy does have some elusiveness, does get out of some crazy situations, and does make things happen.
Crazy. Ain't
Hold on, hold on,
crazy.
hold on, hold on, hold on,
You
hold on,
thought it
hold
was
on now.
crazy.
Yeah, we gonna get there. But before we get there, LG segue right into it. He was talking about contracts. We talking a lot about the offensive line. So in the past couple days, LG, I don't know if you've seen it, but I know Brian has. Trent's been sent a revised contract. Now the way I read it, they offered him 36 fully guaranteed, 24 this year, and that just leaves 12 next year. I didn't even see what the second year was, but they offered him 36 guaranteed over 2 years. I don't think Trent takes that, but how do you feel about that?
I think the deal gets done, bro. I think that it'll get done at some point. Because like I said, Trent, Trent he ain't trying to uproot again at 38. How many times you see guys uproot at 38? Um
Yeah.
and anybody that knows if you're gonna trade for Trent even at 38, you're gonna give up a haul. A
Yeah, it's not
haul.
just gonna be no third
Yeah.
round pick. Nah.
Yeah, nah, it ain't gonna be nothing like that. And like I said, I think that Trent he just wants to secure the long term money. And like you say, they just working out the numbers right now. I think if they had a certain guy off the team already, that deal would be done because that would free up some more money.
I don't
Um,
think that money got nothing to do with it.
uh,
Yeah.
I think it might free up a little bit the long term money, the dead
We
cap
have
money,
money.
the
We
dead
have
cap
we
money,
Any
have
money.
money.
Yeah.
We have money. The money's not the issue.
the dead cap money. I think it'll get worked out. But like that, I don't think because if you notice, even when people bring it up, they kind of like real nonchalant about it. They're like, yeah, it's gonna get done. And at this point, I think they kind of like split in half. Okay, do you want a meal here, a meal there? Do you want, the money and the signing bonus here? This will work out better for the team if we put it into this incentive or something. I think that's what they kind of like hashing out right now.
About
That's
you,
just
Brian?
that's just my opinion. Because you could always tell when a
Yes,
guy wants out
Yeah.
versus the guy just wants his money.
I'm with OG on the fact that I don't think Trent would prefer to go anywhere else. I do know that there's other teams, obviously, that are monitoring the situation. I do think when you're talking about a tackle, even though according to analytics, he was a top five tackle last year, you're talking about a dude that's 38 years old, right? Like I actually disagree with you guys on the whole. I don't think the Niners would get a first. I don't even think they would get a second. I think you'd probably be looking more like a third round pick for Trent because of the age, how old he is, and you have to also think he's going to want to be paid top of the market money. He's not going to KC. He's not going to any of the other teams and being like, "Oh, I'll take 25 million a year." No, I want $5 more than Tristan Wirfs is getting. Right? Like you're paying me the top tackle money in the league. And because of that, I think a lot of teams would have a hard time wanting to give up a first or a second. That's just my take. Now, as far as this goes, we all know he's part of the Cabo clique.
Yep.
He is literally, if there was three guys on the team right now that I would say, hey, listen, I would bank my reputation, would retire a Niner, he would be one of them because he has meant that much to the franchise. That's why when Christian wanted more money, they were like, "Hey, you know what? Even though they didn't have to, they gave it to him." And I think George Kittle's the third. Those three guys, they they go out of their way to make sure that those three guys, because they're the leader of the franchise, that they get what they want. I think eventually they will give Trent the money. The thing that annoys me is, and we kind of see this every year, and like you said, it could be a Parag Marthe type thing, Parag Marthe, but every year they always toy around with the money, and then
Yep.
eventually they just cave and give them what they want. Whether it's a Brandon Ayuk contract, whether it was Joan Jennings, he was like, "Hey, I want more money." They're like, "No, no," and then like, "Okay, well, we'll revise and give you a better contract with more incentives." It's like if you're gonna do that anyways, like let's just do that from the beginning. Hey, here's the best we can possibly do. Like maybe like we don't have to negotiate with our guys like a car salesman, right? Like, oh, it's the
Yeah.
best number I got, and then have to go back and forth 25 times. You're setting a bad precedent. But I think this gets done. I do think he'll come back. I actually heard what he's looking for is a 3 year deal, not a 2 year deal. He wants a 3 year deal, and he wants close to 30 million a year. I think that's why there's the impasse because I think honestly, if it was just a money thing for 2 years, I think the Niners could conceivably say yeah. But as you mentioned, part of the holdup is, well, I don't even know if John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are going to be the coach in 3 years, right? Because if you have an entire regime change, how many brand new coaches coming into a new regime are going to want a 41-year-old tackle making $30 million. Like you
Yep.
have to you have to understand that it's more than just the dollars and cents and the perceived value that he provides. The issue is that he's got the Niners over a barrel because as we've talked about eloquently so many times, the Niners have done just such a pitiful job of drafting and developing talent along the offensive line that he knows that they don't have a suitable backup. Like, okay, you're not gonna pay me? Cool, I'll sit out. I'm
Yep.
fine with that.
Well, you know what?
So
Go ahead, bro.
go ahead, LG. No, no, go for it, brother.
No, I was gonna say it's twofold because you made a good point. He do got him over a barrel a little bit, but it's like Trent, you 38. We know you want to chase a ring. So if we trade you, we can't trade you to Jacksonville. We can't trade you to one of these other teams. That means if we do find a trade partner, then you're gonna want to go to a contender.
Yeah, but
And
LG, legitimately, what non-contender is going to trade for a 38-year-old left tackle and have to pay him 30 million a year?
What
Nobody.
contender is gonna trade for a 38-year-old tackle and want to
There.
pay him 30 million?
Listen, I'm gonna let you know right now. There's at least three teams on the radar, and Kansas City would give us a second right now for Trent Williams.
Kansas City
That's
been
what I'm
wanting
saying.
Trent.
And squeeze 30.
They. That's what I'm saying. Well, the problem is the analytics still say, hey, this
He's
dude
good.
is a
Yeah,
top
he's
two
good.
or three tackle in the league. The problem is when you're 38, he could slide off a cliff and end up being the 20th best offensive tackle by the end of this year. You
Yeah.
Yeah.
got to pay him for what you think he's going to produce the next couple of years. You can't pay somebody based on the production they've already given you. That's the contract they've already received. That's the pickle, right? Because this dude is 38 years old. And this is unprecedented. It's not like you can go, oh, well, let me look at the other 38-year-old tackles that are top five at their position. There's none. There's none.
Which is why, real quick, because I want to get to that last topic, because I think there's going to be a little disagreement in that. The age is why, and I hate saying it because I love Trent. Is
Mhm.
why I would trade Trent, and I would trade Trent by Thursday, and I would get whatever pick I could get, and I would package that pick with number 27, and I'd go up as far as I could go up in the first round and get the best offensive lineman at that pick, the best tackle to
Mm.
replace Trent, because Trent's 38. Trent is going to miss 2 to 4 games from here on out. He's going to miss 2 to 4 games, which means we're going to have to play with somebody that's not Trent for a quarter of the season anyway.
I mean, but if
And
you move up, how far do you move up to go get that
I
tackle?
move up as far as I can. And I'm not saying, I mean, I don't have the point system or whatever. I know there's a point system for the picks or whatever.
I
But if
think
I
if
got
you
to,
had a first, I think if you had our first at 27, and let's say Kansas City second, right? Like conceivably, because Kansas City's I think picking like
the
around
ninth,
like 12. Oh, was it nine? Okay,
it'll be the ninth pick.
okay.
Yep.
So let's just say the 10th pick, right? Because obviously same record, it'll flop in the first and second round. You could probably get, I'm gonna say to the mid to late teens is my guess. You could probably get to like 14, 15, somewhere in that range. You might be able to get a guy like Spencer Fano or Francis Mauigoa. Although with offensive tackles, the way that teams value them, I think personally they're probably both gone before 15. And at that point, you're looking at guys like Monroe Freeling, Blake Miller, Caden Proctor. These are all guys that have a little work, and they're all guys that may be available at 27. So
Okay.
the problem is in this draft particularly, I don't think there's that surefire like, hey, like Joe Alt, like I plug this guy in, he's going to be a stalwart for the next 10 years. I think if you want to go with your plan, Corey, I think the real plan is, hey, I'm still down to do trade Trent for a second if that's what you want, but go out and sign Taylor Decker, right? You got
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
offensive tackle sitting out there. He might only be a 1 year deal, but he hasn't announced his retirement, so obviously he still wants to play, even though
Yeah.
Detroit, canned him. But he was a guy that can play both left and right tackle, plays at a pretty high level. I think he graded out as like the 10th or 11th best offensive tackle last year. And then you have a situation where you could potentially develop somebody behind him and still trade up if you want to. But I'm just saying, I don't think there's a guy that could replace Trent. Not in this draft. I mean, the reality is nobody's going to replace Trent.
Nobody's replacing
He
Trent.
could
Yeah.
he could potentially be, when it's all said and done. And I only say potentially because I feel like I'm a homer, but I think he's the greatest left tackle that's ever played the game. I know, no disrespect to Munoz and all these other guys, Waters and Orlando. I think he's the best left tackle that's ever played when you consider longevity, how being at the top of your game for as long as he's been there. I just think he's number one, and it's not close.
I agree with
Yeah.
you because he's 38 and he's still a top two
Yeah. I
tackle in
don't.
football.
I personally, like I said, I wouldn't trade him. And then, like I said, if somebody like him, it's one of them things where you say, you know what, where's your best chance to quote unquote chase a ring? Because I think at this point he wants to secure that long term money, but he also wants to chase a ring too. And even if you say, okay, well, we worked out the deal with Kansas City, but now you're playing maybe a year without Mahomes. Do you really want to go do that? Or do you want to say, you know what, I may take a little less money and stay in San Francisco? Or we find another trade partner, and then now they've had to make moves to offset you bringing in $30 million. Like I said, I think that his best move would be to stay. And like I said, I think right now they just splitting peanuts. They trying to figure out, okay, is it going to be incentive money? Where do you want us to align this money at? Let's work it out and let's revise this contract.
Well, whatever they do, in my opinion, needs to be done by Thursday.
Yeah, because
It
at the
needs to be
same
done.
time, like Brian said, I'm a fan of if you bring in one of these guys, and like you say, you bring in, let's say one of these guys that may have failed in the draft because they have some areas to be worked on, right? Who would you want on your team to develop your future tackle? Trent.
That's
I
Trent.
hate to say it.
But
Oh,
I
if
mean, I
Trent,
would
if
love
Trent, if
Decker.
Trent,
I would
if
love
Trent,
Decker.
if Trent thinks he can go 3 more years, Trent's not trying to
yeah.
train his
I
replacement.
I think I'm gonna be honest with you. I look at Trent Williams very similar. I don't know how long you guys have been following the team. I'm assuming probably like me for years and years. You guys remember when we signed Isaac Bruce back in the
Yep.
day, maybe 15 years ago?
Yep.
Remember when the young guys would go up to him for advice? He told them flat out, "Hey, listen, you want advice? Watch me.
Watch.
I'm
Yep.
not I'm not I'm not here to be your mentor. I'm competing with you." But they even said themselves, I learned so much just by watching the way he took notes, the way he ran his routes, how hard he prepared, how studious he was. Like having a guy like that's why when we were talking a couple weeks ago, the Mike Evans impact, having a guy like a true professional, a Hall of Famer to be able to see like how they prepare, seeing how a professional does things, it does matter. Um I wouldn't trade Trent because to me it's not that I disagree with Corey. I think value wise, if you can get a second round pick, it makes sense. But the problem is it's a very mixed message, right? Like you go out and you sign a Dre Greenlaw, you go out and sign a Mike Evans. These are all now moves. These aren't future moves. And then you trade away your star left tackle, who's the heart and soul. He's the guy that leads the boombox out every single game. He's the guy that he's the guy that kind of picks the team up. I just think it's a bad message to send. I think you have to sign Trent for sure, but I think if they're smart, because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think you're going to see a deal done before Thursday. I think if they're smart, what they do is there's a couple really good offensive tackles. I think they take a tackle at 27 and not only gives them some bargaining power, but even if Trent comes back, you have an heir apparent. You can teach him to play both left and right tackle because
Yep.
injuries do happen, and we're in a better position than we've been in the last 3 or 4 years. Bottom
Yep.
line, if you're going to get a depth piece, it better be on the offensive line. Because, I don't need a number four wide receiver more than I need a backup tackle when I have a 38-year-old starting left tackle. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I need a guy that can play left tackle, that can maybe kick into left guard while he's learning, that could potentially move to right guard if Pooney gets hurt. Like, there's versatile guys out there that can do that kind of stuff for us.
Brian, I'll go even further, bro. I would say bring in Decker two and bring in the rookies and have them learn from two potential Hall of Famers and go from there. That's just how I look at it. Because if
Yeah.
if you got Trent, like you say, Trent's gonna miss some games. You bring in Decker, he's probably gonna miss some games. But the whole while these guys are playing these practices, stuff like this, these guys are learning from them. They're getting a couple snaps in, and if you notice, nobody outside of Trent, nobody really plays every single snap. Work them in, get them some snaps in, because we know how it is in the NFL. It's rare that you see an offensive line start every game the same five. It's rare. So I think that if we took that approach, that would fix that problem. And moving Trent, if we had already had his heir apparent in the building, then I would be okay with
Hmm.
that. But we don't have his heir apparent in the building, and I feel like he should stay in
Yeah.
house until we get that quote unquote next guys. And I'm a fan of not just the next guy, the next couple of guys.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem you're going to have is remember these guys are the best player that have been the best player on their team their entire life. So whether it's Taylor Decker or Trent Williams, you're basically asking one of those guys, and it's going to be Decker probably, but you're asking one of those guys to back up. right? You're asking one of those guys because you can't start three tackles, right? And if you say, well, I would sit McKivitz. Well, McKivitz actually ranked in the top 10 last year and he's played 17 games each of the last 2 years.
All
So
right, kicking
it's
me in the
it's just a
guard.
hard, but I'm
Kicking me in the
saying it's a
guard. If he
hard
can play
it's a
slot.
hard spot, it's a hard sell to say, hey, we want to bring you in to compete with a Hall of Famer, right? We want to bring you in. So it's like Decker's going to start somewhere this year. I think Decker's an option if you move Trent. If you don't move Trent and he's going to stay in your building, like I said, for me personally, I think you still draft a tackle at 27. I'd love to talk about prospects if we have time at the end of the show, but there's some really intriguing guys. And ultimately, LG, the one thing you said that I totally agree with, to me, this needs to be a trench draft. Everybody talks about safeties and corners and this and that. What we need to do is we have 6 picks. I'd love to trade back in the first and acquire a few more, but I'd love to see two guys at least on the D line, two guys at least on the offensive line. I'd love to see a tackle that can block. That's another guy that potentially is going to be on the offensive line. And, then we could talk about other positions, but we
Hey, bro,
have to shore up the offense and defensive line.
since we there, go ahead. Let's cook, man. Go ahead. Let's start talking about some
Well,
potential players.
so let's start with the tackles because we talked about. So you got Francis Maligoa, who's the probably the tackle one in this class. That's the big kid from Miami, Tongan
Doesn't he have a back
background.
issue though? Didn't they say something was going on with his back?
He did have a lower back, but the thing is he didn't miss any games, right? So he played through it. They're saying he's going to be fine by I think he had like a herniated disc, but he played through it, and they're saying he's going to be fine by training camp. Once again, that kind of stuff can always flare up, but he's really, really strong. He's got pretty good feet. He's got 33-inch arms that are long enough for left tackle. It's funny because if you guys remember last year, I said Will Campbell. I ranked him as a guard, and I think I was almost proven right because he was fine for most of the year, but when you got to the playoffs and when you started playing against better pass rushers, those shorter arms do come back to haunt you when you're playing against good defensive tackles. Bottom line is if the defender can get his hands on you before you're able to get your hands on them, it's a problem for offensive linemen, right?
Yeah.
So that's an issue. So I like him a lot. Then you got Fanos, Spencer Fano. He's got incredible feet. I mean, literally, they use the term dancing bear a lot. This dude literally looks like a ballerina out there. He has the best feet in the entire class. I personally think the biggest thing on him is at the combine he got hammered. He ended up having sub 33-inch arms. So I immediately kicked him in. I think he's guard number one. And if he happened to fall because, like I said, he does have shorter arms, and a lot of people, won't draft interior offensive players in round one like that. If he happened to fall to the Niners, I would scoop him up in a heartbeat and he'll be an all pro left guard for us for a while. And I'd even say, even at 32 and a half, because the foot speed is so good to be able to mirror, I would even give him a chance at tackle when Trent left. Like he's that good.
Dude, that's what we need, the foot speed, because that's what the zone blocking is built on.
That's yeah. So then if you remember last week, I talked about Caden Proctor. He's the big kid from
Yeah.
Alabama. He was a top 10 recruit coming out, 5-star recruit. I mean, this dude is literally a monster. Um, Over 535 pound bench press, 900 pound clean. I mean, just massive. He's got tape like I told you guys, a couple weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, you're talking about a dude that's 6'7", 350, and they had a bubble screen where they threw him the ball, and he's like
Yeah.
shucking people off the legs, and very athletic for the big guy. But the thing for me is his technique is really, really raw, and I don't, a lot of it has to do with the weight, but he's very clunky with his feet. So for me, for his own scheme, it's a no go. Like I wouldn't even want him as a guard for me personally. Next, you got Blake Miller. He is the most experienced guy in the group by far. You're talking about a guy that had 54 career starts for Clemson, played in big time games in the ACC. Obviously, Cade Klubnik is his quarterback. He protected his He was a right tackle. He had 54 starts, over 3,000 snaps. He played every single game in college. Set the career record for Clemson, 54 consecutive starts. So he's a guy that's pretty ready. The problem is for me is he doesn't have, like, he's 6'7", but when you look at the length, a lot of it is in the legs, right? Like he's kind of cut high, so he kind of bends over a little bit when he's blocking, which can create some problems when you're trying to block, really athletic D tackles. I think he's probably more of a right tackle, but I do think he's probably a zone scheme guy. The guy that I absolutely love, that I think will be there for us at 27, and if I was picking and I wanted offensive lineman, I grab is Max Ianachor.
Oh yeah.
So this
I was
kid
about to
came
say
over
that's
from.
that's that's my sneaky pick for us.
Listen, dude, this kid came directly from Nigeria, where he played only soccer and basketball.
Yep.
He came to the United States, went through high school. Now, hear me out, Corey. Never played one snap of football in his entire high school career. Not one snap. He played soccer. Goes to community college. He's watching them play football and goes, "Oh, that looks cool. I'd like to try that." Tries out for the team, makes the Los Angeles Community College team, plays 2 years there, actually draws the attention of the offensive coordinator from Fresno State, transfers to Fresno State, and then by virtue goes to Arizona State because the Fresno State staff went to Arizona. And so essentially, he only has 3 years of starting experience. But if you watch tape, like, listen, I challenge anybody, go watch Ian Achor versus David Bailey, a guy that's probably going to get picked in the top
Yeah.
5 picks. Neutralized him. He's
Held his
got
own.
great feet. He's got great arms. And yeah, the thing is because he's so new, he doesn't always have all the nuances. Like sometimes he'll do, like he'll load up in his arms, he'll load up. And so he kind of telegraphs. Sometimes he'll get a little off balance, but what you can see is the athleticism is ridiculous. The kid needs some refinement. And listen, I've heard for years and years and years how Chris Forster is like the messiah of offensive linemen. Well, here you go. You know
Yep.
what? Here you go. Here's a raw prospect that has all the physical tools in the world to be a top 5 guy at the position. Show me you can do it. Walt Trent is finishing out his career, totally worth an investment. That 2 years from now, this dude could be a ridiculous starting left tackle. Now, I'm gonna give you guys one more name here, and then we're gonna move inside because there is guys in the second, third, and all that, but one more guy, and that's Caleb Lomu. So Caleb
Yeah, I like him
Lomu is
too.
from Utah.
Yep.
Here's the interesting thing about Caleb Lomu that a lot of people don't realize. So Fanu is actually ranked much higher up the list. We talked about his athleticism and his great feet. The thing is when Caleb Lomu came to Utah, they actually kicked Fano from left tackle over to right tackle. And as a true freshman, Lomu started at left tackle because he's got better feet. He's got better, not better feet, excuse me. He's got better anchoring, and he's got better hands, and he's got better length. Like he's more the stereotypical left tackle position. What he doesn't have is, because he's coming out as a redshirt sophomore, he doesn't have the developed strength yet, right? He would get absolutely blown up in bull rushes with a lot of the really skilled NFL guys. Like when you're talking about elite guys, but he's got the footwork, he's got the hands, he's got everything you look for. He's just not completely developed. He's kind of a work in progress. But when you look at the pass blocking and you look at what he did this last year at Utah, great numbers, great grades. So let's talk about guards. I'm gonna give you 4 guards, and I think any one of these guys could be drafted in round 1 or round 2. So first guy we're going to talk about is Vega Ione. That's the Penn State guard. Everybody knows this guy. He could potentially go as high as number 12. You're talking about a dude that's 6'4", 322 pounds, but is just an absolute monster. I watched him block one-on-one Caden McDonald, the big nose tackle from Ohio State, and just absolutely jack him straight up and down and just literally throw him on his ass. Very physical, very strong. Reminds me a little bit, if you guys remember back in the day, like Mike Iupati. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
remember
yeah,
the foot speed? It was like the joke was wherever Iupati goes, that's where the ball's going. Like, just
yeah.
follow him. It's like the same thing with Penn State's offense. When you looked at Singleton running in the backfield, it's like wherever Ione is pulling, just follow the flow. That's where the ball's going. That's how they ran. He's a really good guy, really good guard. I think the problem is he's probably going to go in the top 15 to 20 picks, probably out of our range. So next guy is Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon. You're talking a guy that's 6'5",
That's the guy I like.
extremely long,
Yeah, I like him.
extremely long. He's got long arms. Some people are even saying, hey, listen, I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but I think he could play tackle in a pinch. He's like 6'5", 6'6". He's got like 34.5-inch arms for a guard. Extremely athletic, extremely nasty demeanor. He plays till the whistle. You watch him at Oregon. He was the highest rated offensive guard this year by PFF, according to their calculations. He's a guy that can really, really get after it. And the thing with Oregon is they run a similar running scheme, which is the reason why you see guys like Jordan James and they run a very similar running scheme to what the Niners run. So that you can see exactly how he would translate to the Niners scheme. Third guy is Keenan Rutledge. This guy's from Georgia Tech. He is a fantastic guard. The issue, and this isn't even his issue, it's more of a my issue and a perceived issue. He's very high cut and his legs are nowhere near as developed as his upper half. His upper half literally looks like that of a rhino, and his legs look like that of a giraffe. And not, I mean, I'm over embellishing, but the point being is this guy will absolutely dig anybody out of the hole. He's a fantastic guard, nasty demeanor. He just needs to, I think, get stronger in the lower half. Much better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. And if I'm going to get a guard, at least initially, I would much rather have a better pass blocker and we can get better at the run blocking because on the inside, you just can't give up quick pressure. And the fourth guy I'm going to tell you guys about is Texas A&M Chase Basantes. This kid is really good, really, really good. Very athletic. Um, I actually, I'll tell you right now that this will be my shock pick, if you will. I wouldn't be shocked if the Niners took Basantes at 27, even though a lot of people are saying, "Hey, he's a late round two guy." He fits what the Niners do so well. And if you look at the improvement from the beginning of the season to the very end of the season, I would say personally, I don't think any guard improved more from the start of the year to the end of the year than Basantes. Fantastic. Couple centers. You got Sam Heck from Kansas State,
Hey, Brian,
3-year starter.
you don't like one of my guys who's gonna be a sleeper. What's the guy from Boise State? Casey.
Yeah,
I like
so I know who
Casey.
you're talking. Yeah, so I like Casey too, and I know he's going to be a guard. Actually, my biggest issue with Cage Casey is I don't think he's strong enough to be a guard. To be honest with you, I think he's got the footwork. I think he'd be better at tackle, but the problem is he doesn't have the build to
Yeah, he
play
don't have to be able to
tackle.
tackle. Yeah.
So I think he needs a year to kind of
Bulk
develop
up,
right into
bulk
that
up.
body. But if you want to talk about a tackle that could be a guard, that could be interesting and that I think would fit right with the Niners, especially with the mullet, how about Jennings Dunker from
Oh
Iowa?
yeah,
When's
oh
the
yeah.
last time you remember a guy from Iowa that wasn't a good blocker? He's a tackle that I think could literally kick inside immediately and be a phenom. But let me give you three centers real quick. Sam
All right.
Heck, K State, 3-year starter. Logan Jones. This one's super interesting, right? So he was a defensive tackle his freshman year when he went to Iowa. And guess who was the starting center? Tyler Linderbaum. He said he used to kick
Yeah,
my butt every day, which made me work out hard. And the moment he left for the draft his freshman year, he said, "Hey, I want to play center. That fits my demeanor." They switched him over, and literally he ran with it. He was a captain as a center, which you guys know that's kind of unheard of. He was a
Yeah.
captain as a center. Dude broke Tristan Wirf's clean and jerk record of 535. Um, so he squatted 535. He bench pressed over 500 pounds, and the dude's only 6'3", 305. So he's a smaller guy, but he's extremely strong, can anchor pretty well, and he's super athletic. Would be awesome in the like a zone scheme. So that's a name to keep an eye on. You know, obviously mentioned Sam Heck, and the last guy I'll mention is Jake Slaughter. Here's a guy played for Florida, 3-year starter, all 3 years graded out as a top 10 center. Played in the SEC against the best competition on a team that wasn't great, but can just consistently played above what the rest of his teammates did, and started game in and game out. And I think he's another guy that's probably a fourth round guy that could be super, super interesting on the offensive line, just to give a few guys.
I take all the
Yeah.
centers that you named over what we have,
Hey, look, I like.
knowing
I
nothing.
would too. I would too, right
Yeah.
now.
Hey, you know me, Brian. I like my sneaky picks, dude. I like Connor Lou, bro. From
Listen, Lou, listen, that's not even a sneaky pick, brother. Lou would
hey,
be the number one. Lou would be the number one center in this class, if
if
not
he didn't
for
play
the
for Oregon,
ACL.
well, if he
If
didn't
not
play
for
on
the
Oregon, on
well,
Auburn
no.
too.
Well, but yeah, but look at the injury.
Yeah,
If you
that's true.
look into him, he had an injury and it was only like 6 months ago. So he, you know, he was phenomenal at Auburn. The problem is a lot of people are saying, I mean, this might be a redshirt year for him. So I think he goes probably in the fourth, fifth round. But
Uh,
I just don't think he'll be. I don't know if he'll be ready day one, if you will. And I think the Niners need guys that can be impact guys, early on, like immediately.
I mean, it's ACL now, and ACL is not like what it used to be.
No,
It
that's
used to
true.
be a
That's
year.
true.
So he might be one of those guys. Like you say, you bring him in, you
Hmm.
let him rehab, and let him come and play some plays the second half of the season. And I think that would be fine. But yeah, that dude, yeah, that's a pick that I wouldn't mind us wasting. Well, I ain't gonna say wasting, but us spending, mid to late capital
One other guy that could be interesting, boys. I'll just give you one more, just for variety purposes. Uh, you got Brian Parker the third, or excuse me, Brian Parker the second. He was an offensive tackle, left tackle for Duke.
on. Oh
Guy
yeah,
has experience. Guy
definitely.
has experience playing all five offensive positions. He's played left tackle, right tackle, center, both guard spots. You're talking about a guy that's super versatile that can challenge along the entire offensive line. He's the guy you could probably pick up in the fourth, fifth round, and immediately could potentially battle somewhere, regardless of who you have, just because of the versatility that he offers.
And he went to Duke, so he's smart.
Smart, yeah, he's smart for sure. And the other thing is, man, there are so many wide receivers, guys. There's so many wide receivers in this draft. I know we talked a lot about round one, guys. There are so many guys in this draft that you can get in round three, four, five that are 6'3", that run in the 4.3s. I don't know if you guys watched the combine this year. It was ridiculous. It was literally a track meet. It was like
Yep.
when a guy ran in the 4.4s or the 4.5s, it was like, oh wow, that guy was pretty slow. I'm like, he ran 4.42. What are you talking about? But I mean, there's guys like Deshaun Stribling from Ole Miss. You talk about a dude that's 6'3", ran a 4.32, super productive. Jeff Caldwell, 6'5", ran a 4.31. These are all guys that'll be available in round four or later. So if the Niners really want to get another big
Yeah.
bodied wide receiver, they're out there. I hope we don't try and take one in round one.
Man, am I the only one on this panel that I'm not a big metrics guy? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I don't care if my guy runs a 4.5 or a 4.3. Can he play football? Right? Is he smart enough to pick up the offense? Because we've seen these guys over and over again that are flat out track stars who can't run a route to get open and save their life, or can never pick up the playbook to play enough plays. I'm more of a when it comes, like I said, when it comes to some of these skill positions, I don't care about the quote unquote intangibles. I mean, I care about the intangibles. I don't care about the you know what the combine stats say. I mean, they something
Mhm.
that you can add to it, but I'm more of a can the guy play football type of guy. That's
Nah,
just me. I mean,
I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, I like to see the 4.3, 4.4s, but do you play at that speed? Hell, Jerry Rice was
yeah,
a 4.6,
Four
yeah,
seven,
4.7.
4.7.
He's
yeah.
he's the greatest. He's the greatest
Couldn't
of
catch
all
it.
Yeah.
time. And
What was it?
so it's
What
like,
you
Antonio
boys?
Brown. Antonio Brown
What
was what,
you?
like a 4.6 or something. Couldn't
yep,
cut.
What you boys said, like that is true, right? It's, obviously you have time speed and play speed. I mean, two of my probably five favorite wide receivers of all time, you obviously mentioned Jerry, but another guy that I absolutely loved, adored, and was so glad we traded for, Anquan Bolden. Talk
yep,
about a guy
Yeah,
that's super tough, that ran 4.67, I believe.
yeah,
It's because the reality is when you're talking about running routes and you're talking about mastering the craft, lateral acceleration and the ability to stop on a dime is just important as being able to run by somebody, right? You can
yeah,
get other guys to run the nine route, but you have to have those guys that also move the chains. But I only mention the speed because I feel like right now, when you look at Evans, when you look at Ricky, when you look at what we have, I think if they're looking for a receiver, I really do think they're going to be looking for a guy that can separate and looking for a guy that can take the top off. Because Kirk used to do that, but I just don't think he's the same speed that he was when he was playing for the Cardinals. I'd
nah,
be unrealistic to say that. But I did want to mention, because we never talked about on the last one. I know we're getting close, but with Kirk, the one thing with Kirk, man, not only is he a fantastic mentor, like we've seen already taking Ricky under his belt, but Kirk comes up big in big games, man. You know what? If nobody else, ask
I'm in
Sirius
Houston.
what
I'm in
Kirk
Houston.
did. Ask Kirk. Ask Sirius what Kirk did in the playoff game versus the Steelers.
I'm in Houston. Remember?
He absolutely torched them. I mean, when it matters most, listen, he might have been injured or he might not have played a ton during the regular season, but when it mattered most, he stepped up. He was the go-to guy. So that's what the Niners need when they get into that situation where, whoever it is locking down Mike Evans, and we need somebody to make a play. He's that type of guy. He makes a play when it's needed. So I'm hoping that he'll do that for us. But Corey, been a pleasure, man. Appreciate you.
yes, sir, yes, sir. Well, we definitely gonna leave it there. It's a good place to stop, just because we got the draft next week. I'm hoping that Thursday night I'm not texting you guys talking about I can't believe they did this. So
Maybe
uh
it's I can't believe in a good way.
I'm hoping for that.
I can't
But
believe they finally went with an offensive lineman.
but hell of a show, fellas. I
Hey,
appreciate y'all. Brian,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead and get us
text.
out of
I'm
here.
gonna text y'all when I see the commissioner walking in. Like, I got a trade to announce.
Oh no. Hey boys, you know what? There's no greater pleasure, man, than to be able to sit around with the boys and talk shop on your favorite team, the Niners.
Yes, sir.
Lifelong fan, been a fan of the team for 45 plus years, and love chopping it up with you boys. Love talking about the team, and just look forward to continuing this. And for those out there that are listening, if you have ideas or if you have topics you'd like us to talk about, hit us up, man. We're on all the social media platforms. We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. Look for the execs and reach out at us. All right, peace, boys.
Go ahead, LG, get us out of
Yeah.
here.
Hey, I know Brian. He probably couldn't wait till he's like, man, look, I finally got my fellow Niners on here. We got a full Niners show. I know you've been knowing the rest of the crew a little bit longer, but he's like, wait a minute, man, we got Niners in here now. We can do a Niners show.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shade. Everybody can check out all our other shows, but this has been something long in the books. And I know, like I said, we have 3 Niner fans on the show, but we got millions of Niners fans out there. Check us out. Tomorrow we back on the regular show. My man Corey gonna be with the rest of the execs on backstage business on Wednesday. Like I say, man, we got a lot of stuff we cooking up. Hey, if you we did a double dose today. We had Knicks, then ran into Niners. You might catch us again on another double dose again because we got so much stuff cooking, man. Like I say, always pleasure. Tomorrow I'll be on the regular show, back into giving y'all more and more content. Check us out on every platform. Y'all know how we say Check us out, share the show, like the show, subscribe to the show. Whatever you gotta do, check us out, man. And I'm out, bro.
Yes, sir. Like LG said, check us out. We everywhere: Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We got it all. X or Twitter or whatever we calling it these days. Check us out. We at the Executives View. We got a lot of content coming tomorrow. Like LG said, catch him on the All Sports Show over on YouTube. Wednesday, Backstage Business, WrestleMania preview show. It's a big week for us. So, check us out, see the show, like the show, share the show, subscribe to the show. And like Brian said, if you got anything you want to hear us talk about and you're a Niners fan, let us know. You can find us on all the social media platforms, and we'll work that in. But until the next time, it's Bang Bang Niner Gang. See y'all next one. Peace.